off of that ham when he was in there. But
it was cured. Must have been cured.
But then this MP, he was a captain, by the way. He said, "I'm gonna go and get you some whiskey." And there were two other guys, three, I don't know. The other two said, "Oh boy, okay." And I'd never drank, so I didn't say
You didn't
anything.
drink then?
Never had a drink.
You started drinking after the war then.
Had to catch up. Huh?
After you got asphyxiated, you started drinking.
Well, he came back in about 20 minutes with a brand new bottle of Scotch whiskey. And those other two guys went after it, guzzling that stuff as fast as they could. They both passed out. And I was just as
This is a movie.
stable as anything. I had never had a drink, and I didn't then. So I got them up on the bed, which is a feather bed, and I slept on the floor.
Well, you should have put them on the floor. They wouldn't have known the difference.
Yeah,
You
but-
slept on the bed.
I wanted to, they were friends, and
No.
they had a
I'm teasing.
comfortable bed to
Oh,
sleep on.
no way.
The next morning, they finally woke up, and then the guard came back. His captain said, "I found a place for you to stay in Nuremberg," which was about 6 miles away. He drove us into Nuremberg. He took us into this apartment house that was occupied by a doctor. And they beat on the door, and the doctor opened the door, and they said, "Rausmit." And he had to get out.
What, Rouse Smith?
Rouse
Let's
Smith
go.
means get out,
Get out.
get the hell out.
Rouse Smith.
I'll say we went into his apartment and took it over. These two guys went crazy, breaking everything they could find. They were so mad at Germany, and I tried to stop them, but they wouldn't quit. They broke his camera, they broke his dishware. He had a whole set of glasses, wine glasses and all. He broke every one of them.
That's too bad.
I know, it's nothing.
It wasn't his fault.
No. But he was there.
He was German.
Yeah.
He was a doctor.
But all Germans weren't bad.
No.
Most of them, not all.
I mean, my experience in Germany there for about 8 months was fine. I liked the Germans. The guards were good to us. The top guard would take us out for a walk in the countryside. Outside of the fence.
Huh.
He'd get 10 of us together. He'd go all walking all over the country. Take
He
us.
said he was a forester.
Yeah, that's what he was. I didn't say he was a doctor, did I?
No, a forester.
That's right. But he was a guard. But after he had been the head forester for Germany.
Wow.
Anyway, he'd take us up this river. And the reason was that all the girls were swimming nude in the river. About 6 of them. And he marched us right up next to the river, and we sat down and watched it. Wasn't I awful?
You left that part out when you said
That's why we liked that guard so much.
Oh, it's funny.
After the war, they had a prisoner of war reunion up there in Ohio at some air base. And this German guy was invited to join us.
Did
He
he?
was so popular. He did.
He
He
did.
came over.
What
We
was his-
paid his
Do you remember
expense.
his name?
Huh?
Do you remember his name?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Feldwebel is his rank. That's like a top sergeant or something. Anyway, I didn't go. I don't like those reunions.
Yeah.
But I heard later on that he had come to it and he's very popular.
How about
So
that?
from then on, they had one of these every year, and he'd come to it for many years as I could keep track of it. Feldwebel. We just called him Feldwebel all the time. Feldwebel.
I'll have to get my story.
Well, tell them about Maria. Wasn't that her name? The
Oh, yeah.
Polish woman who helped you?
When we got in that barn, we were behind that haystack, you know, the one we slid down. And she was a prisoner herself. You know,
A slave.
slave labor in Poland.
Uh-huh.
She was a Polak. And she was with a pitchfork pitching at the hay to supposed to dump it down.
Feed the horses.
Yeah, and she kept pitching it. The pitchfork started coming through where we were, and boy, I said, God Almighty, we got to get out of here. Well, we got up out of the hay and motioned to her to quit doing that. She says, "Oh, you stay there. That's a good place to hide." And so she got some more hay and put it there to hide us behind. Well, about 2 days later, she came in there and came right up to where we were hiding, and she had some food to give us. But it was just bread and I don't know what all. Not much.
Well, it's better than what you had.
So every day she would bring us a little bit of food. Well, then one day she came and says, I cannot come again. The farmer caught me taking the food. He says he would kill me. And so she couldn't come anymore. And about that time, the Americans showed up. We got out.
Mm-mm.
About 3 months later, I got a letter from the Army saying that they had located this woman in Poland. By the way, she wrote her name down on a piece of paper. I took that when we got back home. I took it to the Army and gave it to them. Told them who she was. And then this letter said they have given her $600 as a reward.
Wow.
That was a lot of money in Poland
Yeah.
after the war.
That was
Oh,
a
yeah.
fortune. No, they had nothing in Poland or in Germany either.
Wow.
And $600, man,
Or
That's-
like
I never-
6,000 or more.
that's the end of the story. Because I never followed up on it. But I know she was happy.
About that.
Her name was Maria. Masha. In Germany, it's called Masha.
Girl named Maria. You hear a song like that or something?
Yeah. I think Sound of Music.
Oh, so yeah, Sound of Music. A girl named Maria. Is that it? Is that how it goes?
Maria.
Maria. Maria.
Oh, is that Sound of Music? That's West Side Story. West Side Story.
Maybe so.
Yeah, it's not the Sound of Music.
I just met a girl named Maria.
Yeah, yeah, that was
She
it.
almost hit me with the pitchfork.
Well, now one time, Daddy, you told me that one of the men that was with you, that escaped with you, was joined the Polish underground.
In the early part of our escape, he had a vendetta against this other guy that slid down the hill. They were enemies, and this guy couldn't stand them couldn't stand him or me or anybody else. So he left in the middle of the night. We were still hiding in that barn. Later on, I found out that he got in with the Polish underground. And, oh, that's how it happened. They passed the word to this woman at the barn, at the farm,
The Polish lady.
that we were hiding there.
Okay.
And then she came in, found us there.
Was he Polish, this guy?
Huh?
The guy that. The
Oh,
guy
he
that,
was an American,
uh,
but of Polish descent.
I see.
Well, he could also speak Russian, and I got him earlier on. I got him to help me learn Russian. But I imagine he spoke Russian with a Polish accent or something.
Well,
I didn't
wonder-
learn much.
Wonder what happened to him after the war. Sounds like an interesting character.
He, the next time I saw him was when we were on a flight with the General Grohl, you know, went across the Pacific Ocean. We were AACS. We were checking our units all across the Pacific Ocean. And when we landed at Guam, I was looking at the names on the roster, and this name came out. He was a colonel in charge of a regiment, he was an Air Force, a group commander, right there on that same base. So I called up his quarters, and his wife answered. And she said, well, he's on a flight now to Okinawa, and he won't be back until tomorrow. So we didn't get to see him. But I imagine he wouldn't care much.
So what was his name? Do you remember his name?
We called him, this is a nickname, let's see. Oh. It was a nickname we had for him, but not a very good one. Anyway, it was based on the fact that he was known as a Polish speaker, and he was a lieutenant colonel, and so he was pretty influential in that prison camp.
Yeah, I bet. The first prison camp was in Poland, wasn't it? The first prison camp you were in, wasn't it in Poland?
I don't know.
It was, I think it was in Poland.
Damn, I wish I could think of his name. Our colonel gave him this nickname because he couldn't learn his Polish name. That's the trouble. None of us could remember his Polish name.
So it's been too cold for you to drive your tractor, hasn't it?
Yeah,
You started up this spring. Your tractor.
I bought it new.
I know.
Yeah, it's about 6 months old.
Bob, I went to a dinner party with a group of people the other day. A friend of mine's birthday, 40th birthday, and a friend of hers was there, and she said she had to go, and she was going in a day or so to watch her mom be colonelized. Colonelized? And I was like, colonelized? Now I finally figured out that she was becoming a colonel.
Oh,
And
colonelized.
so she That's what they were calling it, colonelized. I'd never heard. Have you heard that? Heard it put that way?
Never have.
She's becoming a colonel, so they were calling it colonelized. That doesn't sound very
The
good.
local outfit there.
I can't.
It's
So I told her, I think her mom was like 60, and she says she was hysterical, talking about she was the only child, and she was talking about how her mom watched over everything she did, and she's like 45 years old, now, and she's like, gosh. But so I told her, I said, well, I have an uncle was a colonel, and he's 99 and just bought a tractor, and she's like, oh gosh, that's what I had to look forward to.
99, huh? That must have been within the last 2 weeks. Because I just became 99
Right.
on the 23rd of
That's
right.
January.
Yeah, that was probably about a week ago was the party.
Who did that picture for?
Elaine.
It's really good. I think I asked that last time I was here, Deja Vu. I really like that. Did she ever do one of your mom?
The little things. That's one of her in the hall, sitting in a chair reading.
That
a book.
Elaine did?